Hi, I'm Vikrant Varshney, Chief Risk Officer of Risk Resources, a niche risk consulting and services firm, and Managing Partner of SucSeed Venture, an early stage investment firm. So we spoke about operational risk in previous session, and now we would talk about the continuation of that segment, but primarily focusing around legal risk and compliance risk. As it would sound from the name, anything which talks about having an agreement, contract, and compliance with the regulatory environment would fall into this category. Very simple examples on a day-to-day basis. When you get into company and start working with your co-founder, what kind of agreement you have in place? Have you defined roles and responsibility, and your shares and your contribution would start with that. Similarly, when you work with an investor, you get money from them for growth capital. What kind of terms have you defined? Are they exhaustive? Do they cover the interest from both sides? We've seen scenarios where all of this is covered very well sometime, but when you take money from friends and family, it may not be defined. It's generally very casually defined if there is any documentation. And that in future, when you're going for next rounds, these documentation might start as a inhibitant in your growth journey. Sometime their capital is important in the early stage, but you might dilute a lot of money without having a documentation in place, and it might spoil your relationship even if you protect your firm. Things which will fall into the statutory compliance perspective would typically, let's say for an Indian firm, would be annual compliances, reporting to MCA, taxation compliances on an annual basis, or sometime even compliance on the labor laws. While you can manage the regulatory compliances in certain area by paying penalty, non-compliance with labor laws could actually shut your company. And hence sometimes criticality of these things could be important. While you're growing substantially, if you don't comply to some of these, you might have to shut your entity. So a lot of this could actually get very serious. Similarly, things that we do in the space of patenting and intellectual property, as you grow and you file your application, will require you to study what competitors have done, what's the uniqueness in the product, what are you going to do, and definition of this will ensure at least your product design and development is getting protected. So when we go for due diligence as a part of growth capital fundraising round, the company who's investing money would always like to do a due diligence in detail. Due diligence could happen on several fronts: a business due diligence, a financial due diligence, a legal due diligence, and it is always important that your shop is in shape. You've submitted all these documentation, you have sufficient exposure on legal aspects from people devoting time and energy. You might face a situation when your annual submissions were not done timely or not done comprehensively. There are gaps in it. When it gets highlighted in the due diligence, it's easier to fix them at an early stage, but as you grow in a larger company, non-compliances with a lot of these could actually become fatal for your growth. You might have a scenario when a big company is investing as a part of merger and acquisition, and if they see serious compliance issues or gaps in your due diligence, they might take a decision against you in investing. A lot of it is linked with what's the risk tolerance of the firm who's acquiring you. If they are coming with global practices and a sound reputation, they might take a decision against investing or acquiring you. So easy steps in the early stage could become fatal as you grow. A lot of such examples are simple, can be done with the help of a good law firm who would know how to protect. It would require a bit of persistence, but I think a lot of these areas are important for you to do regularly. So spend some time. This area is slightly complex, look full of documentation, but it could be very key for your business.